Welcome back to IAS Net Study. This is the ethics series, and in this ethics series, this video is 21st video. In the last two videos, we were discussing regarding emotional intelligence. We talked about basics of emotions, and then we talked about emotional intelligence, the components of emotional intelligence. Now we are going to take up one more topic, that is EQ. What is this EQ? IQ, you are aware of it. IQ is assessing of one's intelligence, assessment of my intelligence. It is intelligence quotient. This is going to give certain number, and based on that number you can analyze where exactly you stand or where exactly I stand. This is what analysis of IQ. It is analysis of intelligence, right? In a same way, you can analyze your emotional intelligence also. This analysis of emotional intelligence is nothing but emotional intelligence quotient. Again, this is going to give you the picture where exactly you stand when it comes to understanding emotions, when it comes to handling of emotions. So IQ, it is a measure of cognitive abilities. Cognitive abilities, usually it means ability, the logical ability of a person, the rationality of a person, or a reasoning capabilities of a person, or even memory of a person. So IQ deals with cognitive abilities, but whereas EQ, emotional quotient, it deals with emotional and social competencies of a person, right? So EQ, in a simple way, EQ talks about emotional intelligence, right? It is going to analyze emotional intelligence of a person. See, emotional intelligence, you know that it is understanding my emotions, and then I understand your emotion. With the help of this information, then I can use this information for some constructive purposes, and this information, this is going to guide my thinking, this is going to guide my behavior. So this is my emotional intelligence, and measure of this emotional intelligence is nothing but emotional intelligence quotient. It is nothing but EQ. So it is a measure of person's emotional intelligence, the ability to recognize, understand, manage, and use these emotions effectively in oneself or and others, right? It is just measure of emotional intelligence. IQ is measure of your intelligence. EQ, it is measure of your emotional intelligence. And in order to have very high EQ, there are four things you need to focus on. So the measure of EQ depends on four core capabilities. And what are these abilities? First is perceiving emotions. How do I perceive emotion? Emotional intelligence is nothing but understanding my emotions and understanding your emotions. In order to understand emotions, you need to have a basic understanding, basic emotional awareness. This is nothing but perceiving emotions, the distinguishing, the understanding of basic emotions. That is the first priority here. Then once you understand this, you can use these emotions for thinking and problem solving. That is also your ability to handle emotions, your ability to manage, your ability to understand and recognize emotions, and use these emotions in an effective way for yourself and for other person. So use emotions for thinking and problem solving. And the next core capability is understanding emotional patterns. See, emotional intelligence, once you understood basic, what exactly you are going through, what exactly I am going through, I understood this. But after all these entire exercise, then I realized that there is a pattern. So it is getting repeated itself. If I am getting angry, so there is an emotional pattern. I understand that. If I am getting happier, if I am laughing, there is a pattern behind it. Now I am going beyond just emotional intelligence. Now I am understanding emotional pattern also. So in a longer run, this comes in picture, this comes in extremely handy, especially if you are an administrator or if you are handling the management. So understanding emotional patterns, and then comes managing emotions effectively. So understood emotion, perceived emotion, then you use that emotion for some constructive purposes. Once it is done, you are looking at a larger picture, and larger picture is that what is that emotional pattern, it is getting repeated and repeated. That aspect you are going to focus. After that, you are going to manage effectively. So you understood one time emotion, repetitive emotion, emotional pattern, and when you have idea of all these things, then you can manage your emotions in an effective way. So these EQ, it is going to measure all these four aspects, right? This is what EQ, emotional quotient, right? And if you have a very high EQ, you can correlate with certain aspects. Usually research, it shows that EQ can be strongly linked with certain aspects. And what are these aspects? If your EQ is very high, you if you have a very strong emotional intelligence quotient, it means that as a leader, as an administrator, you are extremely efficient. because if I am an administrator, I have to handle with different sets of people, various stakeholders. If I have this emotional intelligence, then I can understand you, then I can handle the situation well. When I can handle the situation well, I can develop that leadership qualities. Being a leader, you need to have this calmness, contentness, and being empathy. These are some of the characters you need to have. How do you develop these characters? With the help of emotional intelligence. So leadership effectiveness, this is one thing. And then stress tolerance. If I am emotionally intelligent, I know what other person is going through, what are the emotion pattern of you, then I can handle these things. I can understand you, and I can understand myself. Now I know the situation, I know how exactly the things are. Now I can handle since I can understand, I can control my emotions, then I can understand, I can handle the crisis, and I can handle stress also. My stress tolerance level will be very high if I have very strong EQ. Then again, the same extended discussion, conflict handling ability. I have a strong emotional intelligence. My emotional intelligence quotient is very high. It means that uh, I am understanding my emotions. I'm understanding your emotions. I am handling this consequences. I am handling this crisis or confrontation in an effective way. So it means that I am calm. I am content. So I am listening to you. There is a tolerance factor. When I have all these things, I can handle disaster. I can handle conflict in an efficient way. I have this capability compared to other person who has a very low emotional intelligence. I am better at handling all these things. I am better at handling crisis and conflicts. So that is an advantage. And then team performance. It is not only me, even I make sure that if I am emotionally intelligent, then I make sure that entire team is giving the best. See, if I am an administrator, it's never the one person game. It is combinational effort of every person who is working as an in administration. So every person, they have to give the best, or else even if one wrong thing could halt the entire process of administration. So in order to get the best out of the workers, the team performance should be very good. Everybody has to give their contribution in an effective way. So how do you do that? When you have that quality of emotional intelligence, when your emotional intelligence quotient is very high, your team performance will be very good, because you will be having very good interpersonal relationship. Eventually this is going to showcase in the performance also. And when you are emotionally intelligent, then you know what is right and what is wrong, what is ethical and what is unethical, what is legal and what is illegal. So your ethical behavior, it is going to be very strong. Your ethical conduct is very going to be very strong. And ethical behavior, it includes even the foundational value of civil services also. The foundational values include integrity, tolerance, and compassion, empathy, dedication. See, all these things comes under foundational values. So these values can be ensured if you have a very strong emotional intelligence. And at these are all one side. And even at my personal level also, my relationship with my family members, with my colleagues, with my friends, even at a personal level also, I am going to keep it very positively. So I showcase these values in my personal level also. I can understand their emotion, I can express my emotion in a way which is comforting to them. So these are some of the aspects you can link it to a strong emotional intelligence quotient, right? This is EQ quotient. Now, distinction between EQ and IQ. IQ, I told you that it is an assessment of your intelligence. EQ is, it is an assessment of your emotional intelligence. There is a lot of difference between these two. Usually in general, what we say is emotions, they are not linked to rationality. So emotional, logic, these are a lot of there is a lot of difference between these things. It means that somewhere your emotions are not based on evidence, your emotions are not based on logical reasoning, your emotions are not based on some rationality. Here somewhere emotions, it is based on your cognition, it is based on belief system. See, in general we say that do not trust your emotions, because your emotions are not based on evidence, your emotions are not based on some rationality. So do not, this is general statement, do not trust your emotions, because the emotions what you feel, it may not be accurate. Sometimes you don't like the policies of a government, still you start supporting the government because there is an emotional connect to it. So your emotions distort the more accurate information also. Your intellect is telling something, but your emotion is telling something else. So the distortion happens, it creates some kind of dilemma. So usually we in generally we tell that do not trust your emotions. Now it means that, do I have to give my 100% belief, or do I have to trust, do I have to take decision based on my IQ? I have a very high IQ, so do you think that my decision should be solely based on this IQ? Even this is not right, actually. If you look at the successful people around the world, most of the, if you look at the leadership, people who are in very high successful companies or leadership positions like CEO, all these people, usually they have very strong EQs. IQ, of course you need IQ, but along with that, another factor, EQ is also very much important. Even though we tell that, you don't trust your emotions, it can distort the rationality, all these things, but still EQ is extremely important in order to be successful in life. Because the thing is, IQ, I can handle myself. It is, if it's one person, IQ is fine, but I am an administrator, I have to handle the entire department. Now IQ only solely depending on IQ, it is not going to give me the results. In a similar way, I have a company and I want to get this particular product to the market. I have to release to the market. Here, see, if I am managing, if I'm handling myself, then it is fine, IQ is fine, I can do it. But when I'm handling as a CEO, as a manager, as a director of a company, now I have to deal with multiple stakeholders, I have to deal with so many people. Here my interpersonal skill, my social skill, my social awareness comes into the picture. So in order to have an efficient, effective, the interpersonal relationship, I need to develop emotional intelligence, and my EQ should be very high. So here, ultimately, what this particular slide is trying to say is, in general we say that IQ should be very good in order to be successful in life, but the case is this is not true. Along with IQ, you need EQ also. So the combination is quite important. So it's been seen often that it is not the smartest people that are the most successful or most fulfilled in life. You might have seen also people who are very good in studies in school. In general, you might have seen these people, they are not doing extremely well in life. You might have seen these kind of example, they have very high intelligence, you have seen that from childhood, but when it comes to at the age of 30 or 35, things have changed a lot, and you have ignored, or you have thought these people are quite dumb and they are not good at studies and all these conclusions you had. But down the line, after 20 years, things have changed. These people, they are doing extremely well in their life. How is it happening? Because they have a strong EQ. So don't believe that IQ is the only factor that is necessary for successful to be successful in life. That is not the case. Along with that IQ, you need EQ also. So here it mentions, you probably know people who are academically brilliant yet are socially inept and unsuccessful in work or in their personal relationship. Work, personal relationship, success means that overall positive things, whether it is your personal, interpersonal relationship, family relationship, friendly relationship, or your career, the upliftment or career growth, career advancement, everything comes into the picture. That every cumulative success I'm talking about. So IQ isn't enough on its own to be successful in life. So what do we need along with IQ? It is the EQ. Now let's see some combinations. If a person has very high IQ, as an administrator, let's take the administrator only, IAS officer only. Person has very high IQ, but emotional quotient is very low. So I have very high IQ, but my emotional intelligence, my emotional quotient is very low. High IQ, it means that I am technically competent, but I know what to do at this particular situation. But the thing is, I am not going to implement, I am going to give the order. Somebody has to come and implement, do this, because I cannot go to the ground level. I cannot start doing these things because I have certain other responsibility being a civil servant. Now I know what to do. Now you have to convince other people or your colleagues or your juniors to do that thing. How do you do it? If you have low EQ, it means that the interpersonal skill or social skill, social awareness, if these things are very low, then you cannot convince other person to do these works. Then it does not matter, even with high IQ, you cannot convert these competent, technically competence into effective ground level implementation. So even high IQ with low EQ, the outcome will not be good, outcome will not be positive. So here, since I don't have very strong emotional intelligence quotient, I am struggling with relationship. Even I cannot give necessary instruction to my junior also in my office, because my interpersonal relationship or my social skill or my social awareness is so low, I cannot convince him, I cannot persuade him. So this is what happens. Or me being me in that leadership situation, or a leadership, this the some designation, I could not exercise it in an efficient way because I have low EQ. Or even at my personal level, I cannot handle the stress because my emotional intelligence quotient is very low. So this is what happens even with high IQ. If emotional quotient is very low, it is not going to help you much. And there is another combination. In the second combination, you have high EQ but low IQ. Intelligence, your emotional intelligence is very high, but your technical competence, your intellect, it is very low. Even this is also not going to help you. Emotional intelligence, it's fine. Emotionally you are mature, you know how to handle people, you can convince them, these are all fine. You understood what other person is going through, everything is fine, your social awareness is fine. But you don't have the core competency, core technical competency, you don't have the necessary analytical skill. Again, the outcome will not be positive. Again, you're not successful in your venture. Me being an administrator, if I don't have proper IQ, even with all these EQs, I cannot see the results at the ground level. So this is also not going to give you the result. For, see, again, I am convincing you, I am telling you to do the work. Now I have to give the explicit information what to do. There I am failing. For that you need IQ, very high IQ. The technical competency is important. So there are these two combination we talked about. I have, you have very high IQ but low emotional intelligence, it is not going to work. You have very high emotional intelligence but low intellectual or low technical competence, that is also not going to work. Then what is the good scenario? What is the perfect scenario? Perfect scenario is you need to have high IQ, you need to have a high EQ also. Emotional intelligence should be high and your technical capabilities should be high. Combination of these two is necessary both in private organization as well as the public administration, so even at the personal level also. So this is the best combination, and this combination is eventually leads you towards the success. And you can see at personal level also you can go for a successful life, and professional success also. IQ and EQ, the combination of these both is very important. So this is the ideal combination for administrators. So you are rational, yet empathetic. You can understand what other person is going through. At the same time, your decisions are based on evidence. Your decisions are based on objectivity, right? And again, you are analytical, yet human aspect you are not going to ignore. And you are efficient, at the same time you are compassionate also. You understand what needs to be done, how I should interact with these people. You have this social skills also, and you take positive steps to help these people. So the best combination is that combination of IQ plus EQ. This is the best combination. Usually, if a question comes in the examination, always take this conclusion. The questions have been asked actually. If you look at if you go through my previous year paper videos, you understand there are questions. Usually, these kind of dilemmas are posed in the questions. So, how do you deal with this? How do you handle this? I'm not getting the exact question right now, but since I have solved these questions, previous year question papers, I know that these kind of dilemma questions usually ask, and you have to take a stand. And there, when you have to take a stand, make sure that you have this standard approach where your conclusions are based on this. You cannot ignore your intelligence, at the same time you cannot ignore your emotional capability also, emotional intelligence also. So this is the conclusion you need to take for these kind of questions. Then, as an example, a district magistrate example has been given. There is a crisis, there is a flood, earthquake, some these kind of disaster or some kind of crisis is there, and you have to manage that. Crisis management, conflict management is a situation here. Now, if a person, if an administrator has very high IQ, then he will analyze. If I am an officer, if I have a very good intelligence, high level IQ, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to understand rainfall data. I'm going to see previous data, and I'm going to compare it with present data, so that I will get a pattern in future, tomorrow or next week, how the rainfall would be, or how exactly the impulsive, the, what do you say, how the this particular rainfall is different from previous year, and what are the when once I understand these basic differences, then I could make my conclusions in an effective way. So if I have high level intelligence, then I can analyze rainfall data in an effective way, so I can predict the risk. I have the data in my hand now. My decisions are based on rationality, my decisions are based on evidence, and my decisions are objective. Now, because with the evidence I am taking decision, so I can predict the risk, and according to the risk I can allocate resources also. If resources are not available, I can request some other department, or I can request the government to get the more resources, and I can plan the logistic also. So this is my technical competency. I have a high IQ, my intelligence is very high, so I can analyze these things. But do you think this would be sufficient? No, because I am not going to go and I'm not going to do all this work in a district by myself. I need support. I need human resource support. I need people at the ground. They have to give their 100% also. Now, intellectual capacity, I understood all these things. Now I have to implement it. For the implementation, I need another factor, that is EQ, emotional intelligence. Because if I am emotionally intelligent, I am going to stay calm when I am calm, because there are so many people, there are so many stakeholders here. Some of them are appreciating my work, and some of them are angry at me, but they think that I'm not doing well, and some of them are extremely unhappy with the administration. There are these kind of different opinions are there regarding administration. Now my first priority is that I have to stay calm. When I am calm, then only I can give my 100%. So if I have emotional intelligence, I am going to be calm, and I make sure that I have to communicate with the victims. I have to communicate with the public. So if I am calm and composed, if I have these emotional stability, then I can comfort the victim. So I can give that positive energy to them. At the same time, one thing is victims, another thing is even the people who are working in the administration also. Even they are also vulnerable. They are also scared that how public is going to react. They are also scared that how political leadership is going to react. Even you have to give them confidence also. You have to show them what is the right thing to do. So you have to motivate the team also. How do you do this? When you have this emotional intelligence, you have the factor of emotional intelligence, and when you have all these aspects, you can manage this panic kind of situation, and you can communicate with people effectively. So here again, with the example I'm explaining, along with IQ, EQ is also very much necessary. So both abilities are necessary for effective governance, right? Now, what are the utility of emotional intelligence? What are the uses of emotional intelligence? So let's see the emotional intelligence. The first and foremost, in the last example also we talked about flood, this conflict management, crisis management. The same thing, performance at work. See, if I am emotionally intelligent, then whatever the social here thing that just think that I am a civil servant, I am an IAS officer. So whatever the social complexities are, I can handle it in an efficient way. So at my workplace, I can handle these complexities, and I can, one thing, I am giving my best. You know that usually an administrator, you are an IAS officer. One thing, there is a political leadership, another is citizens. You are in between. So here, even at your level also, you're working in an office, even your colleague are people who are working in the office. There are three sets of people here. So your colleagues, and you're accountable to the people, and you're accountable to the political leadership. See, one thing, if I am emotionally intelligent, I can handle myself. This is one thing. And second thing is, I can handle my colleagues or people who are working in my organization. And the third thing, I can handle political leadership. And the fourth thing, and I can handle citizens also. So from all these perspective, this is going to enhance the work culture. This is going to create that positive environment. So employees with high EI can regulate stress and remain calm under pressure and avoid emotional outbursts. These are basic things. And then emotionally intelligent employees collaborate better and maintain harmonious interaction. Obviously, if I am emotionally intelligent, even if there is an emotional outburst at the other side, I stay calm, and I realize what exactly is happening, and I can persuade the other person. So for the performance at work, emotional intelligence plays very important role. So first thing is performance at work. This is the first utility. And second is physical health. In order to maintain my physical health, emotional intelligence also play very important role. You can say that emotions and the physical body, how is it related? See, the thing is, if you are emotionally intelligent, you are emotionally stable. You can balance your emotions. So when you're balancing your emotions, you can handle your stress factor. So when you can handle your stress factor, when you are at peace, when you are calm and content, then directly it is going to impact your physical health. You can avoid blood pressure, you can avoid hypertension. See, all issues related to these kind, it can be eliminated. The health issues can be eliminated just being emotionally stable. So directly it has a lot of significance to enhance your physical health. So usually psychology says that how we manage our emotions affects our body as deeply as physical factors. So even emotional factor is equally, or it has also role in your physical health. And if you are unable to manage your stress levels, it can lead to serious health problem. I told you that. See, starting, if you are not emotionally stable, the simple aspect of high blood pressure, eventually there is a chain effect. It is going to lead to a major problems eventually down the line. So if you could able to handle your emotional aspect, you can get down the stress level, and you can get down the disturbances, and eventually you can avoid a lot of health issues. So directly you can control your health. And also, if you are emotionally intelligent, see, you are aware of that, what are negatives, what are the things which are affecting negatively in my life, the especially the health, and what are the factors that affect positively with respect to your health. So emotional intelligence, it will tell you to adopt some behavior that is going to support your health in a positive way. So emotionally intelligent individuals are more likely to adopt behaviors that support long term physical health. So I know that if I have to be healthy, then I have to adopt these things. I have to walk, I have to work out, I have to follow the healthy diet, all these things. When do I get this kind of clarity? When I am emotionally stable. When I'm emotionally stable, my decision makings are very strong, and I make my decisions to help me, or to my help my personal help my personal life, or help my career growth. So emotionally intelligent individuals always adopt those behaviors or those characters which help them. Here I am in inculcating those habits, I am inculcating certain behaviors that is going to enhance my physical health. So second is physical health, and the third utility is mental health. Directly you are aware of it. If I am calm, composed, I am emotionally stable. And when I am emotionally stable, the factor, there will not be stress, and I can handle things well. So directly I'll it will make me a peaceful person, efficient person. So uncontrolled stress can also impact your mental health. So I can avoid this. If I can control stress, then I can control my mental health. So it is making you vulnerable to anxiety and depression. If I cannot control my mental health, then eventually this is going to lead to anxiety. This is going to I will be vulnerable to anxiety, I will be vulnerable to depression. So even with very great physical health, if I don't have a mental health, my productivity is going to be zero, and eventually this is going to deteriorate my physical health also. So mental health is also extremely important. And how do you keep it up? By having a strong emotional intelligence. So directly your emotional intelligence, this is going to protect your mental health. And emotional awareness helps individual distinguish between emotional impulses and rational thinking. When I am emotionally intelligent, I know that what are reactions, what are immediate impulses, and what are evidence based decision making, what is rational thinking. This distinction I can make. When I can make this distinction, this is it means that I have that emotional awareness. So mm, I am making decisions very easy. I'm not stressing myself. I have the clarity here. And then EI enables early detection of emotional triggers. If I am emotionally intelligent, then I can analyze these emotional behavior, emotional outbursts, and I can see what is triggering it. Then I can take necessary steps to eliminate that also. When I eliminate these kind of triggers, when I eliminate these kind of negative things, eventually my mental health will be very strong. My mental health will be very good, and I can give my 100% both in my personal life as well as in my professional conduct. So emotional intelligence, it helps me to detect emotional triggers, and also it helps to resolve also. One thing, I am detecting what are the triggering factor. At the same time, I am taking steps to resolve or eliminate these emotional triggers in my conduct. So this helps to solve the conflicts amicably, whether it is personal conflict, or internal conflict, or external conflict. Right? This is the third utility. You can keep your mental health. The first utility is performance in work. I can give my 100%. Second is physical health. I can maintain my physical health. I will be healthy. And the third is I can maintain my mental health also. This is the third utility. And the fourth utility is relationships. Relationships, of course, it plays very important role. It enables individuals to understand, express, and regulate emotions in a constructive manner. I am understanding my emotions, I am understanding your emotions. Now my behavior is in such a way that I am not going to hurt you. At the same time, I make sure that whatever I am thinking, whatever I have to convey, I will convey in a very standard, very dignified way, so that it is not going to hurt you. At the same time, what has to be conveyed, that is going to be conveyed to you. So this is the very big help. By doing this thing, one thing is, there is an open relationship. I'm open, I'm not hiding anything, I'm not manipulating anything. At the same time, I am making sure that I'm not hurting you. So this relationship will be very good. This can be seen at the personal level also, and at the professional level also. Professional level also, you cannot uh, be very rude or very harsh to your juniors also. Again, this is going to impact their work culture, where exactly your work, it is going to turn the positive environment into a negative environment. If you are rude, if you are harsh, and if you cannot control your emotional outburst, it is not going to help you. So both at personal level as well as the professional level, emotional intelligence, this will make sure that you maintain interrelationship in a positive way. So effective communication is not about conveying information, but expressing feelings respectfully and clearly. So that is another thing you need to keep in mind. And unregulated emotions like anger, jealousy, insecurity, resentment create friction within relationship. How do you handle these things? When you are emotionally intelligent, you can eliminate all these negative emotions. When you eliminate these negative emotions, your interpersonal relationship will be very good. Your relationship with your juniors, your relationship with the citizens, your relationship with various stakeholders, it will be positive. So these are the uses of emotional intelligence. Right. Now let's see the emotional intelligence from Indian context. There are three contexts I'm going to talk about. Now the first is, if you look at the Indian philosophy, it mainly talks about one concept, that is self-realization. When you are self-aware, then you can move towards salvation. So it talks about self-realization. What exactly self-realization? Self-realization is understanding yourself. So when you understand yourself, the various negative attributes like lust, anger, desire, all these things you can eliminate. Ultimately, self realization, it is nothing but emotionally stable. Emotionally stable, it means that you eliminate those unnecessary attributes from your life. So this self realization is nothing but emotional intelligence. So in the Indian philosophy, it talks about the Vedas, Upanishads. It talks about the self realization only. So self realization, it is nothing but an aspect of emotional intelligence. And another from Indian context, if you talk about emotional intelligence, the Kurukshetra war. And in the Kurukshetra war, Arjuna is in emotional turmoil. He There is a situation where he has to fight with his family members, extended family members. He has to fight with gurus. He has to fight with well wishers. Now this is a situation, but he has certain responsibility. He has certain duties, and this distinction is clearly convinced by Krishna here. Again, the Krishna's character, it expresses this emotional intelligence. What is the duty? What is the responsibility? That is different, and these relationships, they are different. You have to fulfill your duty as a kshatriya. You have certain dharma and you have to fulfill it. So here, from the Kurukshetra war, from that conversation also, what you can get is there is a factor of emotional intelligence. So in that, these kind of crucial complex circumstances also, you have to make a decision. And how exactly you take a decision? When you are emotionally stable, then only you take a proper decision. And this emotional intelligence, it is manifested through the character of Krishna here, right? And then one more thing is Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita talks about Sthita Pragna. Sthita Pragna is nothing but emotionally intelligent person. Sthita Pragna, it is literally the translation stands for emotionally stable person. And here it mentions that, see, in order to achieve success, or in order to be uh, devoid of this emotional turbulence, one should be sthita pragna. And how do you get this sthita pragna, this state of emotionally stability, emotionally intelligent person? When you follow the path of nishkam karma. Nishkam karma is that you're working something, but you are not expecting in return. You're doing your karma, but you're not expecting anything in return. This is action with detachment. When you take action with detachment, the outcome or result of the, you're not attached to result of the action. So nishkam karma, it leads to the sthita pragna. And again, the concept of sthita pragna is nothing but emotional intelligence. So from Indian context, so you can give these three examples. One is self realization, and then the Kurukshetra war, the Arjuna and the discussions of Arjuna and the Krishna, and then the Nishkam Karma, Sthita Pragna. These are from the Indian context, emotional intelligence from Indian context, right? I think this is it for this video. In the next video, we are going to take up the last part, the very small topics. We are going to take up that application of emotional intelligence in governance and administration. I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good time.